Why did you kill them?
For harboring you. It is a crime punishable by death.
So I've been replaying Destrega. You may have noticed that the title of this video says replaying instead of just playing. That's because I actually reviewed this game before, back when I first started. Naturally, I did an exceptionally terrible job, as back then I didn't actually want to make reviews. I just wanted to make videos about video games, and thus I really only covered the things that I wanted to talk about. Fuck mechanics, plot summaries, and proper analysis. I mean, what the fuck even is that? And it certainly didn't help that I hadn't actually played the entire fucking game. Yeah, all I had was the demo. So I figured that I'd at least give it a second chance, alongside 2 other games that I'll be re-reviewing later down the line as well. And no, don't worry your puffy little areolas, I won't delete the OG videos. As back when I did that before with my DMC reviews,
that I legitimately hate, by the way,
I still get a bunch of comments of people asking me to put them back up, saying that they enjoyed watching those. So, on my channel, there is a playlist called Also I've Been Playing Reviews that kinda suck in terms of being actual reviews. And all of the videos that I'll be redoing are in that playlist, among others, and will still be viewable from there as I've set them to unlisted. And I'll also include a link in the description if you want to compare or something to see how much your little boo-boo has grown. That concludes this public service announcement. It is now time to get to the meat of this video. Said meat follows the tale of a young man called Grad, who, upon returning home, witnesses his entire village getting destroyed. Why? Well, Grad is a Strega, which means that he has super cool laser shooty powers, and of course we can't have people like that running around. So, the evil emperor and/or dictator, Sauba, rounds them all up and promptly Hitlers the fuck out of them.
but Grad won't stand for this.
So he joins the resistance in order to save the world, which of course involves a lot of dialogue. Yeah, the story mode is about 90% cutscenes. Glorious PS1 polygonal texture-warped cutscenes. Though for its time, definitely quite impressive, judging from what MGS1 looked like anyway, and also fully voiced.
Glorious PS1 fully voiced.
But he is strong, and I have a job for him to do. A very special job.
Maybe impressive isn't the word I'm looking for. I guess ambitious would be a better way to describe it. I mean, the story overall is quite horribly paced, as some scenes just drag on for way too long because of all the awkward pauses, and there's also only about 3 voice actors that do all of the voices. And of course, it sounds great, especially whenever they have to scream or say anything from a far distance, as they actually recorded all of that
Far away from the microphone.
But it is one of the few PS1 games where you can look at the character models up close and be able to see what the mess of polygons and clipping textures is actually supposed to be. You know, unlike some games. And the cinematography, though very stiff, is also quite competently done. Nothing to write home about, of course, but I'd at least figured I'd give the game some credit where it is due. As all things considered, they did a pretty good job with what they had here, despite clearly being Babby's first foray into storytelling. And the animation quality is just as good. Now, this movie stuff is all well and great, but for some reason it constantly feels the need to interrupt itself with these really weird sections where they make you push buttons and stuff. God, you guys, it was like the best joke I've ever written. These sections are actually kind of interesting in that there isn't really anything else quite like it. I mean, I'd call it a fighter, but it doesn't really follow any of the genre's staple traditions and instead revolves itself around projectile-based magic spells and a rock-paper-scissors combat system. The magic stuff is obviously range-based, and the rock-paper-scissors shit is a lot more like a traditional fighter, and in both cases you have 3 types of attacks. When in ranged, square does a rather swift weak attack, triangle does a very powerful shorter ranged one, and circle does a type of spread attack. And of course you can do combos with all 3 of these by pressing them in varying orders, or stack a single one by mashing the same button 2 or 3 times to create a more powerful version.
And when in close quarters,
square and triangle function with much the same principle, being that one is weak but fast and the other is strong but slow. Only now, circle will let you sidestep to dodge enemy attacks, and of course you can make various combos with these as well. And in a way somewhat similar to Zone of the Enders, the distance between you and your enemy will decide whether or not you'll be shooting or punching. So yeah, pretty basic stuff. It's a system that clearly had a lot of love put into it, and I totally commend them for at least trying to do something a bit different.
therefore,
It is quite the shame that the story mode doesn't utilize it at all. Something that's really cool about this game is that you have a type of mana bar that limits spammage. It's almost Dark Soulsian! Wow! It creates a pretty clenched tension when health bars start running low, as all you can really do by then is try to run, block, or dodge for a short amount of time. It's pretty cool, though it would have been a lot better if it were to actually act a bit more like Dark Souls stamina, as now you are able to dodge and dash infinitely, and especially when it comes to butt clenchers, I think being limited in some aspects would have been pretty awesome. But even then, all of this is just hypothetically speaking. Competitively, or with friends,
that stamina tension
combined with the ranged and close-ranged combat variety
is fucking great.
But given the game's age and its lack of notoriety, I find it very unlikely that anyone will ever be playing it like this.
And the AI is fucking stupid.
All they do is just spam inputs and run around aimlessly, leaving the player to do pretty much the very same thing. It does have a practice mode, which I kinda hope would explain the inner workings of the game a bit better, but it doesn't explain shit at all, as it's actually one of those modes where all you can do is endlessly bash an unkillable bot. And sure, it's a neat way to get the hang of things like dodging and blocking a bit better, which are both things the game doesn't explain all that well, alongside just about everything else. But other than that, unless I'm missing something here,
the combat just seems to be quite shallow.
Or rather, as far as the story mode goes at least, any if all semblance of
Tactical depth
these systems could have had
is thrown right out of the fucking window.
And I don't think I have it in me to set up an
international Destrega tournament, though that would be quite hilarious.
Anyway, what certainly doesn't help out with clearing up the confusion of the combat a little is the fact that the controls feel oddly sluggish. When walking around, for instance, your character will keep going on for a bit after you let go, and once you've attacked, they'll keep going on autopilot all the way until you start pushing buttons again. At first, I figured that this may have had some form of intention behind it, but after messing around with the game for a couple of hours,
I failed to find it.
Well, other than it maybe being a way to keep people from dodging continuously? Question mark. Then there's also this really weird delay to every button press, which again felt almost deliberate to me, though I still wouldn't know why. But nevertheless, it constantly feels like you're fighting underwater. The half-automated running, paired with the fact that every attack,
even up close,
takes about half a second to do, does not a satisfying fighter make. Although, getting away with a fully charged attack does feel pretty good to do just because of the flashy animations. But overall, the sluggishness just doesn't work in the game's favor. In some ways, though, it doesn't really matter too much, as the story mode is preposterously easy, sans maybe the final boss, so it's not like any of this is going to hinder your potential enjoyment.
That enjoyment being pointing and laughing at the cutscenes.
I wouldn't say that this game is bad. I mean, It's too fucking weird to be. But I don't see myself recommending it to anyone either. Like, if you're this Vinesauce ripoff or something, then I could see it making a funny video, but playing it on your own,
Now that requires a special type of retardation.
I did enjoy my time with it though, for whatever that's worth. And it does have a lot of cool ideas in regards to combat that just happen to fall a bit short because of the wonky controls and the game's single-player content just not supporting it at all. Like, the story is fun, sure, but most of the battles end halfway because of cop-out story reasons, and the ones that don't are either so very easy or so very short that all motivation to do anything other than just mindlessly mashing buttons is completely shat on. Plus, the few times that you will lose, you can instantly start again right away anyway, no loading screen, no consequence. Which would have been great in most other instances, but not really here.
The soundtrack is fucking awesome though.
Like, fucking dick cheese is all hell, but dude, it fits the story perfectly. And in a way, I'd say that that sums up the game pretty well overall. I mean, it fucking sucks, it kinda misses the point a little,
But it has soul. It has ambition. And it's dick cheese as all hell.
I don't know if you can hear this, but some cunt with a lawnmower just appeared. It's quite annoying, actually. I don't quite like this very much. I would like it if you would fuck off, to be honest, yes.